episode 159. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? How's it going? It's been, how long has it been? Like 3 weeks?
3 weeks, technically.
3 weeks.
Since we've, spoken.
Yeah.
So it is, obviously it's 2023. 2023. No. So Happy New Year to everyone listening to this. Thank you for giving us the ability or the comfort level to take a couple weeks off and not fade into oblivion, hopefully. But there was not a lot going on during the holidays anyways, and like I mentioned before, gives you guys an opportunity to catch up on some of the episodes, because I know some people can fall behind, but statistically people don't download podcasts in December, so
yeah,
it was just kind of it works for us. A lot for me has happened. I changed jobs since officially changed and started a new job and a new career since we recorded. So I'm I don't even know, the other day I added day 13 or day 14. But and I had my oldest son in town for a couple of days. Obviously we did Christmas, we did New Year's, and all that stuff, and it was kind of just nice to take a mental break from our routine of recording every week. Not that it's I love doing this, but the break was nice. So I don't know, how was your holiday break?
Holiday break was good. A lot of time with family,
and holiday break, right?
Yeah. So I had extra days off, so it was nice to actually use those days to just kind of do what I want. I will talk about what I've been playing later, and it's not going to be as proactive as I wanted it to be, because I was spending a lot of time on the PS3 for some reason, as always. But yeah, no, it was I also enjoy recording, but it was also kind of nice to not have to after, because there was a couple days after work where I was just dead tired, and I was just oh, okay, I don't have to power nap like I had to do today, where I just ate dinner real quick, power napped, and then here I am. So yeah, just a lot of time with family.
Awesome.
It was nice.
Sweet. All right, well, we are on episode 159, and it is the first episode of 2023, like I mentioned. So, as I guess tradition, since this is the third January that we've been recording, we will go over. This episode is gonna be our preview of 2023. Games that are coming out, what we're looking forward to, what our hopes are, what our expectations are, and then next week we will do our top games, or our look back and our top games for 2022. So with some of that in mind, if you're listening for the first time, welcome. If you're doing some of your New Year's resolution and you're trying to listen to podcasts more often, if that's a resolution, that's cool. If you're working out and then you're using this to help get the time to go by, or you're doing something else, maybe just even some self-time, and this is what you're using for time to yourself, we appreciate it. You can subscribe to the show on whatever podcast services you use. If you're able to leave us a review on that service, that is awesome and helpful. If you can use that service to write something, that helps a lot too, to get more eyes and move us up in the algorithm, more eyes, more ears on the show. You can watch us on twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are a Twitch affiliate, so you can subscribe to us with Twitch, or you can link your Amazon account and your Twitch account and get Prime Gaming, and you get a free subscription to a Twitch streamer of your choice. So please just make sure you're using that subscription on somebody. If it's us, that's great. If it's not, just use it on somebody that entertains you for even brief moments of time. That's always helpful. Again, just sharing the show is the biggest way to help us grow, as well as just leaving the reviews. That helps all the time too. So, all right, we are going to jump into the rest of the news.
Yeah, well, not news.
We're
going to be looking at the year forward. This is something we just kind of have got used to doing, is just trying to see if we can figure out how the rest of the year is going to go. Especially, Dave, we've had a normal year, right? We had a normal year, pandemic, and pandemic sequel. Right.
I guess.
Okay.
I would maybe call it the new normal year.
Yeah. So I always find it fascinating, the last 2 years of just trying to figure out what what games are going to actually be able to release and like what state they're going to be in.
I think that we're in this year is where I think we can stop having the conversation now. Like I think you should I would hope that we would hear less or none of, due to the state of the world and unforeseen circumstances, we've had to delay our game or something like that. I think,
or our game is buggy as shit because pandemic.
So I think that it's either gone, I guess, three ways. It's gone, we're back at the office and we're full development, full cycle, back on where we're supposed to be. We've learned how to develop games and produce content via remote access from people all across the country, the world, or we're closed.
Yeah. That's probably a fair way to look at everything.
And I hate to hear or think of any studios that are closed or stuff that's been canceled, or anything that was been in, like, essentially was or is in development hell, is done, and they've like either reset it, reboot it, or changed directions entirely.
Yeah, or you're the Last of Us multiplayer game, which we'll probably talk about at some point today. So let's just go with the known video games coming out this year. So Dave, if you want to look at the list. And
so Michael broke this down over games that we know are supposed to come in 2023, as well as games that have not been dated, and games that are announced for 2023. And then do you have games that have been dated?
Yeah, that's going to be the first link that I sent. Okay. The Game Informer release thing. Basically, It goes into July. We have games with dates through July, and then everything else is window or just year.
So currently, indie game not dated. We have Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Hey, look, I can read the words this time. So, Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals, Nightingale, Skate Story, and WrestleQuest.
Yeah, those are like the notable ones that I could think of.
Two.
Like,
those are the ones I've heard of two of them for sure. Skate Story and WrestleQuest. The thing is,
you're not paying attention to
this. Is not the lane I hang out in too much.
Yeah, and Oxenfree 2 is debatable because that is that's a Netflix-owned studio now, but it was an indie studio when they were developing it. So those are what I have for like the indie notable games. But we'll go through the Game Informer list as well, just to go through the stuff that has dates. Okay. After we go through the big games not dated.
Yeah. All right. So big games that have not been dated. So AEW Fight Forever, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, Final Fantasy Rebirth, which is the Final Fantasy 7
remake. Part 2.
The second part. Marvel Spider-Man 2, Pikmin 4, Redfall, and Starfield.
Yeah.
So those are the things that are coming that we don't know. So, and then using this Game Informer link, which we will link in the show notes if you guys want to look at it. I'm going through this really quick. I'll do a little bit of speed reading, like Toy Soldiers HD, Caretakers. This is for January. I'm sorry. Children of Silent Town, Cartwrighter Drift, Lone Ruin, Vengeful Guardian, Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot, One Piece Odyssey. I don't even.
Gigantosaurus Dino Cards.
Gigantosaurus Dino Cards. A Space to the Unbound, Colossal Cave, Persona 4 Golden. Go ahead with this one.
Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 Portable.
Fire Emblem Engage, which I'm seeing a ton of advertisements for this right now. A ton.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Rise, which is coming onto PlayStation and Xbox. Pocket Card Jockey. Right on Junkie. Junkie sounds better. Pocket Card Jockey, right on. Forspoken coming January 24th. Risen, which looks like something else that's already been out that's coming to PlayStation and Xbox or previous gen consoles. Hitman World of Assassinations. The Dead Space remake is due at the end of this month. Age of Empires 2.
Inculinati.
That's coming to Xbox and looking the most handheld, or I'm sorry, most video game consoles. Yeah, consoles, not PC. Season, A Letter to the Future, and then SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake.
Okay, so hot take on January. I think January looks pretty good. What about you, Dave?
I think that, okay, so I know
for
a lot.
January.
Yeah, for a January, yes. I think the Dead Space remake. I think people are lost hype for the Dead Space remake when Callisto Protocol struggled, and then it doesn't. I still haven't played it at all. But the Forspoken, I'm not hearing great things about the Forspoken demo from most of the people that I know have played it.
Yeah, it's like no one's outright said it's bad or anything, but it's just kind of it exists. Unfortunately, it's in that state you don't want your game to be in, where it's just like not bad, it's not great, it's just it's there. Hopefully, the story can pull through something, but it's not. Might be one of those games where Square Enix is going to blame the Western developers for the game. Classic.
I honestly think the game that's going to carry the most weight this month. If you would have asked me this last month before the demo, I probably would have said Forspoken. But based on what I'm reading here, I would have to probably go with Fire Emblem. That's the game that's going to have the most conversation. I think.
They sell well for what they are, and they tend to review highly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's almost like a perfect January game.
Yeah.
For that, but then you got like the anime games coming out as well. Like Dragon Ball, One Piece. Those seem like perfect January games. I know it's a weird thing to say, but when you really think about like January, it's usually just one big release.
Yeah.
This time we have like Fire Emblem, Dead Space, and Forspoken. Those are three big AAA games coming out. So like this is where you kind of get your AA games in there, or whatever we want to name that tier.
Yeah, I mean, similar to last year. I mean, it's no secret that I enjoyed it, but this is the month when Nobody Saves the World came out last year, and it did well with especially because it was also on Game Pass at the time, and Game Pass was on an upward trajectory at that time more than it is currently. And it was also a really good game, so like that helped it out tremendously. So moving on to February,
I would say real quick.
Yeah.
A sleeper would probably be Monster Hunter Rise. It sold really well on Nintendo and PC, and PlayStation, Xbox people will finally play it. So that one could end up sneaking in and just being
in the conversation too, and it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I forgot about the Game Pass thing, and DLC's coming in like March, I think, for everything.
So moving on to February. I'm not going to read all of these.
You could just go through it and grab the ones that...
So, like, Hogwarts Legacy is obviously getting a lot of play. That comes out on February 10th. I think the Tales of Symphonia remaster, believe it or not. I don't know when this game initially came out, but I have played and beaten this game start to finish.
07?
Yeah, it might even a little. Yeah, that sounds about right. I actually played and beat this when my wife and I lived in a townhouse on the other side of Michigan, on the west side of Michigan. And then Horizon Call of the Mountain for VR2, along with VR2 coming out. Resident Evil Village for VR2. Blood Bowl 3. I've never played a Blood Bowl game, but I've heard really good things about them. The Kerbal Space Program, and then another month like Kirby's Return to Dreamland. And then Octopath Traveler 2, like that's nothing to
another Square Enix RPG.
Yep. And then Destiny 2 Lightfall from a personal level, and Scars Above, which I don't know what Scars Above is, but so highlights for me would be obviously anytime hardware comes out, it's cool. So like PSVR 2, although I'm not. I don't see myself being an early or mid adopter of PSVR 2. You got to show me a little bit more at this point in time. Although Angela did visit the Detroit Science Center last week, and she put an Oculus on and played Beat Saber, and she immediately texted me that she wanted an Oculus. And I was like, well, hey, if you plug it into my PC, it works even better. And she's like, yeah. So I was like, but I can also get her Beat Saber on VR1, I believe. But that also requires wires and movement. I don't know how well my wife will do with movement and wires.
Especially with the camera having to try and track everything.
I said it like a month ago or 6 weeks ago that if I was going to go into any further into VR, it would probably be the Oculus direction, because I don't see PlayStation first-party VR2 games, grabbing my interest enough to warrant that expensive of a purchase.
They announced about like 30 minutes ago Gran Turismo VR day one for PSVR 2.
I don't like racing games. So.
No, I know. But yeah, that could be a big thing
else.
for...
Yeah, absolutely. So people now can put a VR headset on their big steering wheel racing rigs that they have.
Yeah, and they did say today they'll have 30 games at launch. Okay. So it's going to be interesting to see what February 22nd
I hate that though. Like 30, do you count No Man's Sky as a game at launch because it works on VR too?
Yeah, because they announced Beat Saber for PSVR 2
right.
today.
So just off the top of my head, like Beat Saber, Resident Evil Village, what did you just say? Like, does Gran Turismo really count? Like,
Gran Turismo.
Is it Gran Turismo VR or is it Gran Turismo Sport with VR? You know what I'm saying? Like,
7. Yeah, I think it's 7 with VR, which would be pretty cool if they can
integrate
pull that
it
off.
If I can race against somebody else in VR, like if my buddy wants to play in VR and I'm playing, again, I don't play them, but I'm just speaking, I think that would be great. But if it's like the VR communities over here and the controller communities over there, that's not the greatest thing, but it is what it is. And then I know you've recommended it to me a handful of times, and I haven't dipped into it yet. But like a lot of people besides you have recommended it. But like, so Octopath Traveler 2 piques my interest because of so many people that enjoyed 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people have actually told me this might be the best game for me to play via Game Pass, like on my phone.
Yeah, it would work well as a mobile thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
What's on here? That's obviously like. If I really want to get into a Destiny conversation, like I'll just do that separately. Like everybody knows I'm gonna play Lightfall. I'm not gonna sit here and
there's no
else.
surprises there with Lightfall, like especially Destiny's. Like you guys are hungry for some content.
Yeah. So I mean, but if I could either do like a solo episode on this, talking about this, or I could grab multiple people that I play this game with and do a one-off episode if anybody wants that. So like that'll be there. I'll play it, but it's gonna be exactly what I expect it to be: a new location, a whole bunch of new weapons, at this point in time a really good narrative story, and a new raid. Like that's and to me that's well worth the $100 investment for a year of gameplay that I get out of it. Like it's just never a question. So it now up to like the 10th year of existence or something.
Yeah. All right. So for me, looking at February, Like a Dragon Ishin should be. I'm saying that wrong. Sorry. Is going to be cool to see because it's basically them expanding.
The new Yakuza, right?
Yeah. Well, they renamed it finally, just Like a Dragon. And this one is like a throwback one. So this is a remake of a specific offshoot of a Yakuza game. It's going to be interesting to see. Does the West want all of what the Yakuza franchise has to offer? February seems like the perfect time to release that sort of game because you'll have people that are just hungry for anything and might be willing to give that a shot. PSVR 2 stuff I'm just not interested in because I'm not picking it up right away. But Octopath Traveler 2 is definitely something that I'll probably end up watching Sarah play because she really loved the first one. Kirby's Return.
Is that not coming to Xbox?
Not day one, I don't believe. Octopath 1 took like 2 years to come to Xbox.
Who makes Octopath?
Square Enix.
Okay.
Yeah. So they might have been bought off or paid, or it didn't do well enough for them to bring it over.
I just noticed it when I was looking at it on here. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's probably going to be the big one. Obviously, Hogwarts Legacy is the big release. And that I'm more interested in, like, not necessarily playing it, even though it looks fantastic, but the J.K. Rowling stuff is just...
You want to follow it on social media.
Yeah, because, like...
Because here's the thing. Like, here's ultimately what I think is going to happen with this, is, like, Harry Potter fans are going to play this game. Harry Potter fans that play video games are going to play this game. Like, I think that's just inevitable. And then I think there is the possibility of... the gaming community, like, hey, Like, this is a really, really good RPG. And it's telling a good story. Even if you're not a huge Harry Potter fan, it's telling a good story arc of a wizard RPG, which is what people have wanted. And then there's just going to be the people that are going to hate play it.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have people like me who I will pick it up, I will probably enjoy it, and I'm going to be upset a little bit because J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. So it's like that thing of just like you're gonna have a lot of Harry Potter fans that are gonna be like, I really want to play this, and in the same breath are gonna be like, fuck J.K. Rowling, you know, like, and it's gonna be fascinating because I Harry Potter still sells no matter what. Like no matter what she does, it still sells.
I also don't think that she's going to directly profit off of the success or the failure of this game.
I mean, when you're already a billionaire, like I don't really think it matters.
But I don't know. Like
I
think that she like I don't know enough to speak about this, but she may have already gotten her stipend for whatever they needed to do to make this game.
Yeah, but no matter what, and that's what the thing that sucks about the situation is, like the developers, they've already had to come out and be like, hey, she doesn't represent our views, but it's
she signed a piece of paper, we gave her a wad of cash, we're done.
and at a certain point, it still doesn't matter though, because you're still supporting the thing that's going to be feeding her money for the rest of time. So I
don't want to necessarily get into this with you, but I just have an inherent problem with this because, like, I get it, like that's like I understand exactly what you're saying, and she's terrible. Like somebody in her marketing department needs to tell her to shut up.
She's a billionaire with no marketing department.
I know. I'm just saying, like, but anyway, but like, I kind of lost my train of thought on this. Like, you've already supported Harry Potter. Like, people have already supported Harry Potter. Like,
No, and that's what makes this so, like, complicated for a lot of people, is this, like, there are people that invested their entire personality as a human being into that universe, and then for having the creator turn out to just be terrible. And not only just, like, you can have your opinions on things, but when you're actively, like, trying to rally...
tweeting articles, like, you know, like
and then backing research projects with the money you're making from Harry Potter to justify your opinion. It gets super messy, and it just sucks, you know, being a Harry Potter fan. You're just like, you know, I want to love the thing, but it's really hard to.
And I know that I'm wired a little differently than other people, but I can totally separate.
I know I can't
entertainment from business, like, but it's in the back of my head. But then if I'm enjoying the game, I'm enjoying the game. If the game is, you guys know me pretty well. Like, if the game is crap, I'm gonna say it's crap. If the game is great, I'm gonna say it's great. Like, I mean, at this point in time, like, it's pure hypothetical, like, ridiculous, like, over the top thing that's never gonna happen. Well, but if Elon Musk makes a fantastic shooter, like I probably would end up playing it.
You're like, oh. Well, and the thing is, like, with me, I can separate, you know, J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter because I came into Harry Potter super late.
Yeah.
Like, I just read the books, like, 5 years ago, you know, and really enjoyed them. But, again, you had people that, like, grew up with it, and they, you know, formed
These are books that taught them how to read, and taught them how to read at higher levels, and kindled their love for reading.
To get through. So, like, Hogwarts is still probably the most interesting coming out in February, but it's not just because of the game, and that sucks because the developers are putting super amount of work into it. The game looks good, but there's going to be a lot of discussions.
It's turned into, like, it's over the course of announcement to now, it's turned into, like, I think it was actually called Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, and then they kind of, like, flipped it, Hogwarts Legacy, a Harry Potter story, and now I just keep hearing it referred to as Hogwarts Legacy. Like, they're trying not even to use the word Harry Potter.
I think they're doing the Pottermore name now.
Okay,
that's like the
like a Pottermore production or something.
Yeah. That's what it's like now. But it's. I don't know. I feel for the developers who are putting hard work into this thing, and the game will probably sell well. The crazy thing is, like, if it gets reviewed badly, you're gonna have people saying, like, you only reviewed it badly because of that.
Woke reviewers.
And then if you review it well, they're going to be like, you are anti this, you're anti that because you like this game. So it's going to be interesting when this game comes out in those reviews.
And
I'm
going
to be curious about
the most
the
about
embargoes.
this. And then the thing that sucks the most about this is I feel like some of these major gaming sites are going to almost have to purposely put somebody to review the game that is, like, I don't even know the right way to word this, but like
they're gonna have to pick specific people to review this, so then they can, I don't know, like
if an
review.
LGBTQ member goes, "Hey, I had a great time playing this game," there's less blowback, I feel.
Potentially, and again, it depends on the quality of the game. Like, it's going to be interesting for reviewer websites to figure out like who are they putting on it, because there's some people that if it's a good game, they're not going to want to put their name.
Yeah.
I'm
treading a thin line here, but I feel bad for the straight white guy that gets assigned to review this game.
I don't really feel bad for that guy, but
if the straight white guy and he reviews it badly. Like that's what I feel. Like that's what I feel for. And it's gonna be like
if they review it well.
Yeah. Either way.
It's there's a lot going on with this game, and there's a high chance that it's just gonna be okay, and then it's gonna be like, why was everyone upset? This game is middling as fuck.
Yep.
And I need to see what's gonna happen there. This might be a game I might sign up for GameFly again, just to try it out without throwing down to $70.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to March. So we've got The Last of Us Part 1 coming to PC. There is a Fatal Frame game coming. Skull and Bones. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, come on.
Bayonetta Origins, which I feel like is a really quick turnaround from when we heard about that game.
It's a smaller thing though, so it can work.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4 remake. The previous other remakes have been really, really good. Have reviewed really well.
Much beloved Resident Evil. I
just have a feeling that this month of March, we're going to hear a lot about Crime Boss for some reason, whether it's marketing or advertising. Because this is the one with all the voice actors,
I want
right?
to be. Yeah, this is the one with the crazy voice acting cast. Like, talk about a game that I'm hoping is like mid as fuck, because
there's almost a valid reason for you to have Game Pass for February, or for GameFly for February and March for both of these
at this point. But Dave, what do you think is going to be the big game in March, and what game are you most interested in checking out?
Star Wars Jedi.
Okay, for both categories. You don't want to see what Skull and Bones looks like.
I'm very scared of Skull and Bones. I hope that Ubisoft does something that they've done in the past, and we get the privilege to check it out, like even if it's like 2 weeks early to play it, so I can get a little bit. It's gonna be that
same demo you played 3 times the last couple times you played it.
So I mean, we have a great relationship with Ubisoft, so I would expect to, at minimum, get a review of this game, a review copy of this game. But I don't know, like the stuff that they were showing early on. Looked really cool. Like I'm talking about like 2017. But then the stuff that I'm seeing now, it just kind of looks like they're trying to make a competitor to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, which is like a successful game that
took a long time to fertilize.
Yeah. And even then, it didn't set the world on fire. It's just like it found its groove and it settled there.
Yeah. What about you? What's your standing out in here?
Resident Evil 4 remake will probably be the biggest game for the month.
I could see that being the best-selling game of the month. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and also it's like it's already a very highly rated game, and they're just remaking it, as opposed to like I think Resident Evil 3 was the remake. People were like, this isn't as good as 2, and it's like, yeah, because it's Resident Evil 3. Like, it's not as good as
every
2.
one of them's getting closer to modern gaming versus like, okay, we got rid of tank controls. Like, oh, this plays so much better.
Yeah, and this is like the king of tank controls, and it worked well.
Yeah.
With this, and a lot of people are going to be upset if it doesn't hit. There's a lot of things that they could change. I think they already came out and they're like, we're not cutting any gameplay elements or sections, but they didn't really say they might not cut, story bits if it comes to it. So I think Resident Evil 4 Remake will probably be the biggest selling game, highest rated game, with like Star Wars Jedi Survivor kind of following it. And then Skull and Bones. Like, I think Skull and Bones will come out. I think it will come out. I just don't think Skull and Bones, when it was first announced, seemed like a game that could hit like Ghost Recon levels or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it just seems like, okay, this will just be like Writers Republic level
Yeah.
of just like it exists, it does okay, but that's it. It exists. It's a steep, but it's not an Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right. Excuse me. April, Hogwarts Legacy coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on April 4th. Mega Man Battle Network Collection, if you're into any kind of the collection games. The Horizon Forbidden West DLC Burning Shores. Dead Island 2. Sure, and April gets a little like we're starting to get it, like, you know, January and February look pretty solid. March looks okay. Then it's starting to decline a little bit, and there might be some other stuff that makes its way into April that we don't know about yet. But I guess out of this list that I'm looking at, it would be the Forbidden West DLC for me, because that's something I played most recently.
Yeah, for me, it's just morbid curiosity, Dead Island 2. Yeah. Just to see what that game is. Can they hit the comedy that they've thrown into trailers? Who knows? I don't even know who's working on Dead Island 2 at this point, like what studio ended up taking over that game. So yeah, April is like the lightest month so far, and I haven't played Forbidden West, so I wouldn't be getting to the DLC anytime soon. I guess Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is something that I will probably pick up, just because I don't know about you, Dave, but I love retro collections. Like especially on the Switch.
I like certain games, and like this would be one that I could see myself playing and messing with, and then I could also see like Owen playing this. I would love to introduce Owen to some Mega Man stuff, and I feel like this might be one of the better ways to do that with a collection like this.
Yeah, there might be a lot of reading in it. I forget how old children are when they. Yeah, so
more or less maybe something I could play while he's with me.
That would probably make more sense, because I don't know if he'd want to read paragraphs for a game. But yeah, Network Legacy Collection is right down my alley, especially coming to the. I'll probably pick it up on the Switch, because I like having those retro collections on the Switch for whatever reason. Yep. So that is probably what I'm looking forward to for April, which is pretty light.
Yeah. Well, May gets even lighter with announced games, but it's also probably the two biggest, possibly physically dated games that are coming out this year. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, which is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and then Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So those are both Zelda's May 12th, and Suicide Squad is May 26th. So I don't know personally a ton about the Suicide Squad comics and stories. I've seen the most recent movies. I know,
that's all you need to know.
Yeah, I know some of the characters, but I'm more intrigued about how this will work as a games as a service, because that's what we're led to believe it is. So
they got to start talking about that too.
Yes, they do.
In terms of what that means.
Extended content, because people are starting to pre-order this, and like I haven't looked into this enough. Is there a season pass? Is there a content pass? Is there, is it going to be?
Is it even still a games as a service?
Correct.
At this point?
Or is it going to be $20 expansion packs, like over 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, or are they going to say the next thing comes out in 6 months and it really comes out in 10 months? Because they're like, oh, it's hard, or we listen to your feedback and we're adjusting our economies. Like this, there are plenty of games that Rocksteady has to look at for what not to do, and I feel like I've said this 100 times. If this game is a games as a service, there are multiple roadmaps of what not to do, but people seem to think that road is really pretty and sparkly and bright, and they continue to go down that road.
So, yeah, I think they would have to drop the roadmap 60 days before launch.
Right.
Like, this can't be like, hey, 2 weeks before launch, let's talk about the future.
Yeah. You can't do Avengers. You can't do like you can. People can roll their eyes at me, but they really just need to, if they want to do something, the model to look at is Destiny. Whether you like it, don't like it, but the model and the foundation
Destiny
is Destiny.
2,
yes,
specifically. Yeah. Destiny 1 had a great setup, but Bungie learned a lot going into 2. So please don't do the thing that most games as a service thing look at, where whatever timeline they're looking at, it's really old. and they really should.
Or they're like, hey, we just wanted the players to play it for 6 months, and then we'll figure it out. But our next thing's not coming out for 12 months. Like,
you need to hit the ground running, and you can't add stuff super late,
right?
Especially established things that other games as a service are doing.
We saw it with Back 4 Blood. Like, the roadmap didn't come out until after the game came out, right?
Yeah, and it felt like it was like the game was struggling, and they felt like
it was too late. So. All right, so for the month of June, we have Street Fighter 6 for June 2nd, Diablo 4 on June 6th, and Final Fantasy 16 on June 22nd. So I take it back.
June is the biggest month from this.
Street Fighter, Diablo, and Final Fantasy are all heavyweights. Like extreme heavyweights. I mean, you've got 4 1/4 heavyweights, because I consider Rocksteady a heavyweight. I don't know if Suicide Squad is a heavyweight yet. Does that make sense?
Have in like May, that makes sense. In May and June, you have probably 2 Game of the Year contenders.
Correct.
In Zelda and Final Fantasy 16, and then you have sleepers that could end up in that conversation with Diablo and Street Fighter. If
Diablo can somehow make its Diablo fans happy and make a game that a bunch of people still want to play that have never played Diablo, you have a valid Game of the Year contender.
Yes. Yeah,
but
especially with how successful the last
just an
Diablo
homage to Diablo players, then it's going to just be consistent, like you talked about. It's not going to have any super high peaks. It will at launch, but then it'll just settle into its groove and go. Versus if they can somehow grab that little bit of magic that we saw from Diablo 3 when they released it on console with couch co-op, and then I think eventually it always had online co-op, but when they released that Diablo 3 Definitive Edition, there was a lot of people that I knew, because like Destiny was in a down frame, Division was in a down time frame, that are like, hey, this is really fun, and if they can somehow grab some of those players again, you have a game that could be at least in the conversation of like top 5s.
Yeah, no, it could end up being a huge game, and if it bombs, Microsoft will just point to it and be like, see, Activision Blizzard can't do it by themselves. We need to acquire them, because that deal should be wrapped up around this time, in theory. A lot riding on Diablo 4.
Yeah. And then July, the Hogwarts Legacy coming to the Switch. I didn't realize how staggered this was.
When we last talked about what's delayed, they had to spread out the last gen stuff.
And then there's a bunch of to be announced that we'll switch back over to. Looking at Xbox first party games announced for 2023. These are ones that we know for sure they have said are coming in 2023. Forza Motorsport in spring, Starfield first half, and Redfall this in 2023.
Yeah.
Of those 3, the one that I'm most interested in is Redfall. If you're making me choose between those 3. So
for me, it's like Starfield is like, even though it's a new franchise, it's a known quantity.
Yeah.
It's a Bethesda game. Redfall could be huge, or it could just disappear, sort of thing. And I have enough faith in Arcane Studios that it will be somewhere in between there. But this is a type of thing that like Xbox would hopefully be able to bank on, in terms of like, they already know they got to win with Starfield, regardless of Starfield's quality. But if Redfall can sneak in there and be a wild success, like that could be huge for their franchise, or their company, or their gaming division and Game Pass, if Redfall can catch an audience.
And then we currently do not have any Xbox console exclusive partnerships, and I think when you put this in here, you mean games that Microsoft or Xbox is third-party games that they're getting exclusive on their platform, even as a timed thing, right?
Yeah. There might be some indie games that you can point to, but I only wanted to include like big ones, because when we talk about PlayStation in a little bit, you'll see why I added this section.
Nintendo first-party games announced for 2023, which some of these we already mentioned: Fire Emblem, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, and Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. You have an asterisk next to this. Why do you have an asterisk next to this?
So that was supposed to come out last year, but then Russia invaded the Ukraine. Right. So it had a release date, and it was 2 weeks from release. So like, ideally they should be releasing this eventually. I don't imagine them sitting on it for too much longer. So I just put it in here
Yeah.
just because it's a finished game
Right.
that
Yeah.
could release at any time.
And then Nintendo console exclusive partnerships, we don't have any. I would correlate this to like Mario Rabbids that just came out.
Yeah, yeah.
As something that Nintendo has typically done. I do not know why I'm coughing. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be the Bayonetta game could be included in this one.
Yeah,
Technically, it's a platinum game, but it's exclusive to Nintendo.
But Nintendo owns Bayonetta, right?
I think they do now. I don't know exactly how that partnership goes.
All right. So PlayStation first-party games announced for 2023: Marvel Spider-Man 2, Horizon Call of the Mountains. Those are currently the 2 first-party games that are announced and dated or windowed. And then the PlayStation console exclusive partnership for Spoken, Final Fantasy 16, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So this is what, as it, so comparing the two, comparing Xbox to PlayStation like everybody does, technically Xbox has one more announced first party game coming, but they have no third party partnerships, and Sony has 3 juggernauts.
Yeah. And then I would argue Spider-Man 2 is bigger than Starfield.
I would concur. So Owen is currently playing Miles Morales again, and he's playing it on PS5, and that game looks phenomenal.
I've been wanting to replay it because I never did the New Game Plus trophy.
Okay.
I might end up having to do it.
But
Dave, what are you thinking? The lineups for the big 3, basically.
I mean, them having Spider-Man is phenomenal. I still feel that Microsoft is holding a lot of stuff very close to their chest right now. And I think that we're going to have what I guess I would call a lot. I hope that we'll have a lot of mid-tier games coming from Microsoft. We'll see some of the second games that their studios are working on, hopefully come out or get dated. I really hope that Hellblade, for their sake, gets dated this year. Even if it's a January, February 2024 game, if they can come out at a press conference and say Hellblade 2, blah 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 blah, that would be super helpful to them.
Very.
I think that win and I think at this point in time it's a win. This Activision deal goes through. It'll be a huge bolster to their Game Pass library, which they will just advertise the mess out of whatever they're putting on there. And then I hope that I hope Sony has some other stuff up their sleeves too, because I know that you've reminded me of this multiple times, but Marvel or Spider-Man can't carry the whole year for them first party wise,
especially when it's coming into fall.
Right. Can it carry their whole year? Yes, it can carry.
It can carry their holiday season.
Yes, absolutely. But in terms of reasons to own a PlayStation 5, and you're telling me to pretty much wait until September or October?
Well, Sony's answer is
Sony's first party.
Yeah. For first party. Sony's answer this year though is look at all of our Square Enix titles.
Yeah, you don't actually have Street Fighter on here, but I would say Street Fighter would have been a console exclusive package too.
No, it's Street Fighter is coming to Xbox.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So my mistake there. But yeah, I really think that I think Xbox is going to be the sleeper surprise this year. I think that they're going to somehow. It probably will be in April, May, or June, but then they're going to have a steady stream of these are really good 7.0 to 8.5 games, and they're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah, PlayStation will end up with Nintendo will probably end up
with the 9s
fighting
and the 9
PlayStation for the 9s and 10s.
Yeah.
And Xbox will hopefully. The best I think Xbox can have, like you said, is a few 7s and 8s.
Yep.
To counterbalance it, just because Xbox has not proven that they can deliver a 9 or 10, which is important.
And it kind of it's important, but it kind of gets into that conversation of is one 9.5, and I hate to put this much weight on scores, that, but is one.
We're gonna put a lot of weights on scores though, Dave. I have a proposition for you.
is one 9.5 or 10 game better than 5 games that are 7.5?
I think it that's a conversation that for a PlayStation player who might only buy 1 or 2 games a year,
Right.
that's very important. For an Xbox player who has Game Pass,
Yeah.
they'd rather have 7 or 8 sevens than
because I think
1
you
or
and I
2
would be the
not
same
10s.
way. Give me 12 games that are 10 hours long that are good versus one game that's 40 hours long that's phenomenal.
Unless it's a Last of Us Part 2 or a Zelda, like we'll take that probably over like 10 games. It's all about like
But
what
even then,
we're
like we've
talking
got a
about.
Kirby game coming out, we've got a Zelda game coming out, we've got a Fire Emblem game coming out. I mean, like I understand that Nintendo knows its lane and it stays in its lane and it doesn't try to do anything like massively new and massively innovative. But yet their games are always 8.5 to 9.5. Always. They're never perfect and they're never mid. They're in between. Always.
And their outliers are this Zelda and Mario a generation, but they'll release like 6 or 7 Marios that gen.
Yep.
But they'll have the one Mario that's damn near perfect every time.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's I hope that obviously we're gonna have some indie darling that's gonna come out or something like that we don't know about yet or we're starting just to hear about. So like that's always in there. Like we don't know, like as an example, like I don't know. Do you think Hades 2 is coming this year?
Early access. They announced
Okay.
that they're gonna start in early access, so I imagine it'll come out maybe sometime this year in early access.
Okay.
They just didn't say it would, but I would imagine
Yeah.
it would have to.
So yeah, like
which
those
will
are all
probably take a lot of like spotlight from some stuff, depending on when they want to release it.
Yeah. So like it's really hard to like have any predictions for the like for this stuff right now because some of it is we're waiting for some of these acquisitions to finish. Like we're really kind of waiting for this Activision Blizzard deal to finish, and then we don't really know the ramifications of the Sony Bungie merger. In terms of like what kind of effect that's going to have on anything, what impact that's going to have. Like, I don't think that Bungie or Sony's going to go another 12 months without talking about their new IP, Bungie's new IP.
I feel like that is like a E3 announcement, just waiting. Especially as you've been talking about how like the content for Destiny has slowed down. That is, for me, being an outsider to that whole thing, being like, well, that means they're working on something else. The A team is working on something else. And their B team, or whatever you want to call it, is working on Destiny content. But I would ask you, Dave, like, all right, we both own both consoles, or all 3 consoles, or whatever. If you were an Xbox only owner, would you be happy with the lineup of 3 games that you see here?
I mean, no.
Okay. Just because none of those games fit your playstyle except maybe Redfall.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Redfall. I don't really have any desire to play Starfield. I probably will mess with Starfield just because it's available to me. I don't have to purchase it. That's a huge factor for a lot of people, I'm sure. And then, like Forza doesn't do anything for me. But it's the same. The reverse of it is if I'm a Sony only owner, a PlayStation only owner, I don't feel that Spider-Man 2 Forspoken, again, for me, the only one on these 5 games, that's jumping to me that's a must play is Spider-Man.
Yeah, same.
It's a must play. I might mess with Forspoken. I'm not gonna. I don't think that I'm gonna touch 16.
Yeah, and you haven't finished 7 remake,
right?
To want to jump into Rebirth. And then I agree with you in terms of like I'm more interested in Redfall than playing like a Bethesda RPG, even though I used to like them. I'm tired of those. And then Spider-Man 2 is a big game for me as well. But if I'm looking at it, like I have to wait till fall from that. Like I don't know what I'm playing.
Yeah.
Till fall this year, and then like Nintendo's, they're in their own little box.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
I don't like Fire Emblem doesn't do anything for me. I could totally see myself playing Kirby. I'm gonna play Zelda. and Owen's gonna want Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
So like,
and Nintendo's also, there's the rumors that they have their Metroid Prime game finished and ready, but they don't know when to release it. And Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot, it's finished, and like Nintendo's
they're
really
the king
good.
of, hey, we got a Nintendo Direct in May, and this cool game that you didn't know about is coming out, and it's coming in June. Like they're the king of that.
That's what I was gonna get to. It was like they are gonna probably drop something big, especially all their stuff that's dated ends at May.
Yeah,
so
there's been huge rumors around Wind Waker coming to the Switch.
That's apparently another one of those that it's finished and it's been done for a little bit of time now.
Yeah.
So they're going to probably drop something big at the end of the year. So like Nintendo lives into their own little bubble. Like it's just like, Nintendo's going to Nintendo. Like there's nothing you can do about it. If you're PlayStation and
they're
Xbox,
going to continue to wipe their butt with their golden $5 bills. So like,
it's basically like how Disney has it in the movie business, where it's just like, Disney's just going to take dates, and then you just got to get out of their way, and that's kind of the thing with Nintendo.
It's like, our first quarter software sales aren't good. Release the Wind Waker.
Yeah, I mean, look at poor Horizon. Like, the first Horizon, really fucking good game. Yeah. Breath of the Wild came out like a month later, and it didn't matter. So,
all right. So yeah, as of now, obviously, most game companies are just coming back from their holiday break. So they haven't been able to announce any delays. And then what we're planning on watching. So full disclosure, I did not play very much. Started a new job. Didn't really realize or understand how much that kind of messes with me mentally.
It's a new routine, man.
Yeah, but like it was a massive de-stress. Like my body kind of like was like, oh, you're not doing this anymore. Like, and it kind of shut downs, like the bat is a different word, but it was just kind of like turned off for a little bit, but at the same time it couldn't, because I was trying to absorb so much new information to where I was kind of just in this like exhaustive state where I wasn't like tired, but I didn't have the energy to do anything. Does that make sense?
Oh, I get that.
Yeah. I get that. So, I did watch a lot of we watched a lot of stuff. We've been watching like some of our, kind of Angela and I kind of got back into some of our shows. We've been watching some of the crime dramas again, some of the stuff on Hulu. Home Economics is a show that's on Hulu. It's like a 45-minute episode, 3-season sitcom about a guy writing a book about his family. It's actually pretty funny. I enjoy that one. Then we watched Angela and I watched the National Treasure show on Disney. That is very interesting. It doesn't really have a lot of ties to National Treasure, the movies. There is a little bit of crossover as you get into the third or fourth episode, but it's kind of like Angela describes it as like, this is what Disney does. They make semi-decent stuff that people either love or hate. And then it's either I'm going to watch it and I'm invested, or this is not for me, and they move on. There's nothing in between. So, and that kind of is happening with like a lot of the Marvel shows, and a lot of the like you or I are like, okay, I'm full in on WandaVision, I'm full in on Loki, like, oh, Hawkeye, you can stay over there. Like So like that's where it is. I watched a lot of football. Seeing the Lions playing competitive games in the month of December is something I'm not used to over the last couple of years, as well as Michigan football getting just essentially their butt kicked, but then they still came back, but then they still lost. So and then just watching some stuff finishing for fantasy football. I'm very tired today, I apologize. But yeah, I dabbled a little bit with Destiny, doing some stuff in Destiny, just like that. Again, that's like the mindless, like I'm gonna play video games. But I think there was a point in time when my oldest son was here with his wife, and right after Christmas, and then leading up into Christmas, that I think I went like a 8 or 9 day span without playing games. And again, it wasn't on purpose. It was I was at work, and then it was Christmas Eve, and then it was Christmas Day, and then my oldest was here, and and then the next thing I do is I look up, and I'm still going to kind of mingling in and out of work during the same time as well, and I look up and I'm like, oh, I was starting to to feel myself get a little bit more aggravated and agitated and tense. And I realized, like, I'm not saying anything crazy, with Angela being home on break from school as a teacher, and Owen being home from break, and my daughter being home on break, like, and Michael, you might appreciate this, but I know that the situation is a little different. But I didn't really even have like 5 hours of where there's nobody's in the house, and I used to have that time. And not that it's gone. Like it's actually happening tomorrow. Like Zoe goes to work, Owen goes to school, and Angela goes to work. So nobody's home. So
yeah, but with the holidays, there's always something to do or someone home or something. Yeah.
So, So I think it looks like you have a little bit of list here of like the greatest hits for your holiday play.
Yeah, I'm just gonna rush through them a little bit. God of War, still playing it. We'll not be talking about it next week for our Game of the Year discussion. It's okay, but like that game for me it just feels like a chore.
Yeah. I actually would love to hear at this point in time, because I'm not very far into it either from last time we recorded, but what I hear from you guys, so whether you post it in Discord, post it on Facebook, or tweet it at us, like, do you still want us to have a conversation around this game? Or I'm not even seeing stuff on social media of people are saying that they finished the game and they're like phenomenal masterpiece, but they're not having another conversation around the events in the game like they were in the first one.
Yeah, and they're not like being evangelical in terms of like telling everyone else to like play this game now, and I hit the point where I'm just like, I hit 30 hours and I was just like, please stop.
Having played both of them, and again, I'm not super far into God of War, but if I had to make a decision today, Horizon is better than God of War.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Like, it's funny though. It's like, because we'll talk about it next week a little bit, maybe. But like, I think God of War Ragnarok just suffers from having a follow up God of War, where that God of War 2018 felt so fresh, so different, and then this just doesn't quite have that feeling. It's been refined, it's been improved in gameplay aspects, but overall, I'm just the longer the game got, the more I was just like, okay, the writing's not holding up, and I just kind of want this experience to be over, which is something I was not expecting to happen when I was playing it. But other games that I've been playing, still playing Vampire Survivors. I downloaded High on Life just because, Dave, I don't know if you noticed, but over the break, it got
tons of praise. Like, this was the game that people were playing when they were home on break.
Yeah, and this is the game people were roasting of like, this game looks bad.
Yep.
The humor doesn't fit, and the humor's okay, but the game is just weird enough to keep me entertained. For however long it took me to go through to get through it. And there's just some interesting things about it. I don't think the humor holds up through the entire experience. Sometimes it gets a little tiring. The Rick and Morty sense of humor doesn't always hit, and almost can feel like there's some jokes that they keep going and you're just like, okay, I get it. Like, it was funny, but now you're dragging it along. But it was still the perfect Game Pass game in terms of like, I didn't have to put money down for this, and I played it and I got some entertainment out of it. And there's like entire like D-list movies in this game that you can watch on the couch in game, and just them doing that is just like
your niche perfectly.
Yeah. I'm just like, you know what? I'll give you a point for just including this stupid shit. So I because it was one of those instances I didn't know about that before playing a game, and there was a movie playing starring Denise Richards and Paul Walker in the game. From like the 1990s, and I was just like, is this the whole movie? And then I sat there for like 20 minutes and I'm like, this is the whole movie, before like moving on. And then started Neon White, just because I was like, everyone talked about this game in the first half of the year. It was like, this is a Game of the Year contender. This is like an action platformer speedrun game, where you use cards that are weapons to like platform, so you have to like discard and use the cards to help you like traverse the obstacle course. It's got a very heavy like anime vibe to it. It's almost a little obnoxious, the anime vibe, but I think that's what they were intending. I I thought this would be like a Michael game, a Swick game, but it turned out to just not quite click with me.
It's not a Subway sandwich game because those are like $14 now.
Yeah, and this was 20, I think 24, so it just didn't quite work. It wasn't up to the Potbelly standards, because that's more expensive sandwich, I think. I played the Cowabunga collection.
Okay. I saw that on sale over the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up ordering it during the holidays, and Amazon sent me a EU copy, and I was just like, "What the hell?" But it still works. As long as they don't release DLC for it, I should be good. This would be so much more entertaining if Shredder's Revenge didn't come out this year.
Yep.
Because it was really hard to go back to some of these games.
I wonder if Konami was like, when they saw it, they're like, "What the fuck?"
I think they had to have like had that reaction, because like I played like a couple rounds of Turtles in Time, and I was like, I have trophies that I could get in Shredder's Revenge, and like now I'm like looking to like get my group back together to like go through Shredder's Revenge a couple times, because it's Shredder's Revenge, really good fucking game that came out this year that we'll probably talk about next week in some capacity. So it just made me dislike. It hit the nostalgia that it needed to hit, to where I was like, you know what, I fucking love the Turtles. Like the Turtles are awesome, and then it just made me just want to play Shredder's Revenge. And then if we want to talk about the biggest waste of time that I did this break, I loaded up my PS3 because I'm still buying random PS3 games.
I got God of War, so I decided to play Battlefield 1943.
Yeah, so like I was going through my PS3 trophies, and I was missing the Play 100 matches of 1943. And I was like, how many matches do I need? Go to the leaderboards. The leaderboards don't tell you how many matches you played. They say, go to the Battlefield website for your stats.
They don't keep track of that anymore.
No, they don't. So I had to go on my Twitter and search at the first MJC Battlefield 1943 to see if I had any tweet from 2009 that mentioned the amount of matches that I had.
Did you?
Yes. I found a tweet from 2011 that was saying, I have 20 more games in this fucking, or I have 20 more games for this fucking trophy that I need to get. And I got those 20 games in the year 2022.
And the trophy popped still, obviously.
Yes, the trophy popped. This game came out in 2009. I was playing in full servers.
That's crazy.
Every night for a week. And I was kind of amazed. Like, I was fascinated by just the idea that all these people were playing every single night. I mean, I was there too, so I can't judge them negatively. But the idea that, like, there were, like, full groups that were playing every night, where it just makes me think that there's, like, a group of, like, 4 or 5 friends that are still playing this every night. And something about that this is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
That these people found a game and have been playing it for 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
It is just fascinating to me. So yeah, I ended up getting that trophy and then uninstalling the game. But I got 100%. And then
the biggest thing that I've noticed when going back to shooters that are like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old is this. Obviously, field of view is not a thing. So that's a big deal. But then I feel like the weapons are gigantic.
Oh no, they're gigantic. Aiming down the sights is like pointless unless it's a sniper rifle. PlayStation had the bad idea of like, we're gonna put the shooting button in the wrong spot. It's like, we're not gonna use the trigger button, we're gonna use the bumper. And so there's a lot of times where I kept dying at random times because I would think I'm playing like a modern shooter.
Trying to throw a grenade and you shoot a bullet.
Or I switch weapons instead of shooting. And I'm like, why would you put these? Why would these buttons be in the place that they're at? So that would happen quite frequently.
Because that was when Sony wanted to be unique.
Yes, they thought they had the right idea. But yeah, the fact that you can still find a full match in 1943 at like any time. Yeah. And just made me start going through PS3 games because I'm just like, I won't be able to pop these trophies forever. Like, they will shut this network down. So if anyone wants to play Critter Crunch on the PS3, I need to win 5 games to get that 100%. And you know what's the worst part is? I forgot PSN games didn't have platinums back then. But I hate seeing games at like 91%. So I'm literally cleaning up my download list and hoping the online's still working for some of these games.
Wow.
So yeah, that was my break.
All right. So we did not submit any questions. We figured that this episode was going to be long enough already doing the reviews, the year looking ahead. So again, like we had talked about, like, do you want to see some God of War content from us? What do you want to see from Michael and myself in 2023? You can post those on our socials. The main account on Twitter is at Digital Days Pod. Michael's is at The First MJC. Mine is at Good Dave Hunt. Facebook group, Discord server, all that stuff is in, and Patreon is in the show notes. Those links are there. You can check those out. And let us know. Let us know what you want to see from 2023 from DDG. Like I do. Once I get into a little bit more of a routine with my new job, I do intend on at minimum streaming at least one night a week, even if that ends up being like an hour or two of Destiny, or I'm really, really on the fence about Marvel Midnight Suns right now. And I think it's like on sale on PC for like $35.
Yeah.
I think that it's a perfect thing for me to like mess with on my PC, and I think that streaming that game would be entertainment for you guys. So, but that's stuff that I would love to hear from you guys about. A couple people in our Facebook group are talking about it, and I don't believe it has any co-op or any online functionality at all. Correct? Question mark.
What was that question again? Sorry.
Like online co-op. It's just a single player.
No, it's a single
game,
player
right?
game.
Yeah.
Single player game.
Yeah. So it'd be a really good game to stream. But yeah, all those links are in the show notes. Check them out. Send us, join the Discord, join the Facebook conversations, post stuff. Let's have a really great 2023 building our community. And I hope everyone enjoyed this episode, and I hope everyone has a great week, and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.